if we could just quickly before we go on to talking about copywriting, talking about sort of integration, there's a lot of hype out there in the social media world. I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a marketing director, and pointing out that they spend probably 80% of their focus on sort of social media, but about 80% of their revenue comes from non-social media. So, do you think there's time to refocus on some of the traditional?
Oh boy, I've seen all this bullshit before. All these people, it's just human beings, human nature, you know. We all want to believe there is a simple solution to everything. Bertrand Russell said, what men seek is not knowledge, but certainty. Yeah? So the marketers do not want to realise that it's just bloody hard work, yeah? They hope that, a few years ago it was CRM. That's going to be, don't worry baby, you don't have to think, just get a CRM. Oracle were running ads saying, have your CRM up and running in 6 weeks. And I'm sort of saying, oh really? Yeah? Do you realise you have to completely change the way that you think about customers and the way you deal with customers? That what you do is more important than what you say, and sending out a load of messages which have been put together by a computer which cannot think is not going to solve your problem. So CRM. Then there was another CRM. Called cause-related marketing, so the customer relationship marketing, cause-related. Which new set of initials will solve our problems so that we don't have to think? Social media will solve our problems. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit. I mean, as I was saying earlier on, I very much doubt whether many people use social media more than I do. But I don't use them because I think, oh, social media is going to solve my problem. I use them because they're bloody cheap. And I use them, and I measure every damn thing, you know.
Yeah.
As far as I can.
Yeah.
So, and when you talk about, you know, integrated. That's another thing that makes me roar with laughter. Do you think integrated marketing is a good thing? Well, do you think loving your mother is a good thing? You know, do you live your life? All I ever do is talk to people on the telephone. All I ever do is write to people. All I ever do is speak to people. All I ever do is stick things under people's doors. It's just bullshit, yeah? Marketing is the real world, so what do? You do whatever you think is appropriate. I'll give you a good example. About three years ago, something like that, a guy I know who's a management consultant, I've known him for years, came along, and he was working with I think the world's biggest firm selling legal information called LexisNexis, and he'd persuaded them that they should try direct mail. And he said, you try this man Drayton Bird, he's quite good at it. And they said, oh no, that won't work, you know, our people, blah, 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 and what we actually put together for them, which they just couldn't believe, I wrote a 6-page letter, yeah? I had girls in my office sticking things on the envelopes. God knows what. I had lots of handwritten. I actually hand wrote a lot of it. We all hand wrote a lot of stuff here. And this 6-page letter went out to an appallingly bad list, i.e. lots of the names and addresses were wrong. 1,500 medium-sized legal practices, yeah? It was designed to introduce a completely new online service that none of these people had really heard of. So they didn't know what it was. It was extremely complicated. So the letter went out, but the letter didn't just go out. We also had a landing page on the internet. We also had a demonstration of how the thing worked, yeah? I also wrote a telephone script. They also had personal selling, yeah? We also had a follow-up email. So these people had never been written to before, yeah? So they get this 6-page letter. Nobody believes it will work, yeah? On the first day, within about 45 minutes of it landing, yeah, they get a phone call from a firm of lawyers making an order for £50,000. Later on, just from the letter, they went on the internet and said, right, we'll have it, yeah. Later on, another order for £100,000. That campaign brought in just over £1 million, yeah. And I did another one after that, which brought in £2 million, £1.5 million, yeah. But it was an integrated thing, because why wouldn't it be integrated? Why wouldn't you the question when people say, should we do this or should we do that? You say, why shouldn't you? Well, I mean, I have a golden rule in life and in marketing. If you're thinking of doing anything, the first thing you say to yourself is, if we did that, would it do any harm? And if the answer is no, you say, well, if we did it, could it do any good? And I tell you what, you won't just solve questions like, should I put a message on the envelope or not? You will solve questions like, should I get married or not? I mean,
that's right.
that is you have to ask you that question about everything.
Yeah, because if I wanted to build a relationship with you, which by the way I do, then I would send you a birthday letter in the post. I would call you. I'd email you. I'd IM you. I'd see you face to face. I mean, I suppose it's exactly the same thing. That's all integrated. Would I do it? Of course I would.
But you've got to use one thing, which I did a talk in. That was very funny actually. I was invited last year to go to receive a lifetime achievement in Florida, which is a bit of a joke. It's like sort of, I actually said to them, it's like being asked to be a lifetime achievement for being a plumber. What I do is not particularly difficult. It's not sort of, higher levels of medicine. It's just common sense. So I went there, and they said to me, we want you to make a speech, and all we want you to do is to tell people one single thing that will make a huge difference to their results. And I said, one single thing? And they said, yeah, just one single thing, because, people can't take in more than one. They want one. It's a silver bullet. Will you give them a silver bullet? So I said, I'll do the best I can. And then I said, how long do you want me to talk for? And they said, an hour and 3/4. I said, for an hour and 3/4, I'm going to talk about one single thing? So I said, I'm going to cheat. And I actually told them lots and lots of things. But the one big thing I told them related to something that David Ogilvy told me over dinner at Claridge's one night. And he had a very, very grasshopper mind, which I recommend. And he said to me at one point, he said, do you know the secret of success in this business, Drayton? And I said, no, David, what is it? And he said, charm. And what is missing from most messages is a little bit of charm. I've got a thing that I sent out to promote this the seminar that I'm doing. And I only decided to promote it on the spur of the moment. I'd just done one on branding. And all my people have been saying to me, you really ought to do something on copywriting because that's what you're well known for. And being an idiot, I'd ignored everybody, So I said, all right then. And immediately after this thing we did on branding, on Easter Sunday, I wrote an email. And the subject line was something like, hello all you Easter bunnies out there. And it was one of the most successful things I've ever sent out because it makes people smile, it's at the right time. And you've got to think about that sort of thing. What are you going to do that will charm people, that will flatter them, that will amuse them, especially on the internet? That's the difference between direct mail and email. There is a significant difference, and it's to do with the way in which the spam filters stop you. So a lot of the things that work in direct mail or in advertising headlines will not work in an email because the spam filters will stop them, because they will stop things like, make £3 million in the next 10 minutes,
Right. Yeah.
So you have to use a little bit of charm. Mm-hmm. You have to come up with quirky stuff, surprising stuff.
Because if you could define charm for us, that'd be really useful. Because I know, for example, Innocent Drinks, they are very, very good at writing these quirky little things.
I love them. I was for a while I was on a very boring committee to do with brands with one of the founders of Innocent Drinks, and I love them. And in fact, it's one of the things I'm talking about on Monday, if I get time, is I'm going to read out the label on an innocent drink.
It's brilliant. And he says exactly that, because we interviewed Richard Reed, and he was saying something very similar to what you were saying. Is people have just come from a bad commute wherever they are, possibly in London. They go and pick up we want to put a smile on people's faces. We want to bring a bit of a highlight to their morning, and it's exactly the same thing as you're saying.
Absolutely,
a smile, a bit of charm. If you're Lloyd's Bank or you're representing a big insurance firm, presumably they shouldn't be writing, or should they be writing in?
Well, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? I'll tell you, the best definition I've ever heard of charm. A charming, I forget if it's a charming person makes both of you think you're wonderful.
Good. That's right.
Well, I'll give you an example. I did, in fact, do a lot of work for I think I worked for all the banks.
Yeah.
And I wrote a thing for one of the Scottish banks, which was sent to older customers, and it simply said, "I'd like to say something that people don't say often enough nowadays. Thank you for being a customer." And that worked like a charm. There you are. Go on.
Very good, perfect.